Hello everybody, XD here. Welcome back to another video. I'm back here with another yap, and I'm just gonna sit here and chill. I'm not even gonna play Minecraft. This is a different world. This is actually my creative world, and I'm just gonna let it sit here. I'll probably do like a time lapse as well. So this is mainly gonna be like an audio only type of video, like a Spotify type thing. So if you want, you can keep this in the background. You listen to me yap while you're eating or doing chores or doing whatever you want to do. But on to the yap. I decided to watch Obsession again. Obsession was out on the streaming service Peacock. I decided to watch it again from there. And I'm just going to lay this out first. It was not as scary the second time compared to when I watched it the first time. Because the first time, I was going in freaking raw. I was not trying to see spoilers. I only watched the teaser trailer and the official trailer, and that's about it. So I went in there, freaking, completely blind, got absolutely terrified, and, anticipated every single jump scare. Like I mentioned this in my first Obsession video. And I don't know if I said this or not. It took me 3 days to recover from the horrors of that movie. And it was hell. But it was absolute torture. But now, the second time around, I was not all that scared. I mean, I did get a few little mini jumps here and there, but it wasn't that scary, not really, because this time I had the intention of like fully studying the film and like looking for Easter eggs and analyzing each character and basically the plot as a whole to see like how it is, so that way I can officially formulate my own opinion, like actually like paying more close attention to it this time compared to me saying how, I was looking at videos of like how what other people think and stuff like that. And I'm going to be honest, my opinion has changed compared to the first opinion that I gave on the first video. So I'm going to go more in depth here. And if this video is just very long, then I'll split it up into two parts. It's no problem. But anyways, right off the bat, Bear. We're going to start off with Bear. So with Bear, I know I've told and people have said this in their own videos that Bear was mainly taking advantage of Nikki, and in a way that's true. What I mean by that is that when Bear made the wish for Nikki to love him more than anyone else in the world, I feel like that right there is when he turned into a predator. Because here's the thing, he made her get trapped in hell, a purgatory like hell where her real soul is actually trapped somewhere, just endlessly suffering. And one big example of this is where the clip where Nikki is sleeping, Bear gets a text from. I'm gonna get into spoilers, by the way, but the movie's been already been out for quite some time now. So, anyways, Bear gets a text from Sarah saying, "Hey, I need to talk to you. It's some really important stuff." He manages to get up, and then the real Nikki is actually be able to go in and say, "Hey, Bear, I need you to kill me, man. Like I need you to end this torture. Like, please kill me." She was literally begging and pleading Bear to just kill her, so to end off her suffering. And Bear didn't listen. He just didn't want to listen. I think it's because he thought when he said, "You are you, like you're the real, you're Nikki." I think he didn't really believe when she said, "Hey, it's me. It's actually me." He didn't believe it. That's why he ignored her pleading. I feel like right then and there is where Bear is just in a way, he does become a predator and just completely makes Nikki cause a chain of events. It's not even the actual Nikki. It's the literal freaking demon that took over her. Because again, Curry Barker said this in an interview. The curse is not the product. It is not the One Wish Willow. It is the wish itself, because it is how it's supposed to play out. The entire plot of the movie, that is how it is specifically supposed to play out. It's supposed to be all lovey-dovey in the beginning, and then slowly but surely it gets worse and worse, because again, that's where the idea of obsession, no pun intended, comes into play. So I feel like Bear, in a way, he that aspect, he took advantage of Nikki, because again, and even freaking Nikki said this. Everybody, like, this is on you. And I had that feeling that in the entire time, this is all Bear's fault, because he's the one that caused all this. this is what he wanted. He wanted a person to actually love him and stuff. That's what he wanted. And I managed to watch the entirety of the beginning because when I first went to the theaters, I think I missed about half of the beginning. The scene in the diner where Bear is practicing, like, how he would open up to Nikki and all that stuff. So that I missed. I was able to watch that, and I think I can tell. And, if you disagree with me, let me know in the comments what you think. I think in some way, shape, or form, it is a chance that, yes, Bear does have feelings for Nikki. That's the vibe I get off of him. That, yes, he does actually have feelings for Nikki, but it's just to the point where he got so scared. He had cowardice. Yeah, cowardice. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Cowardice, where instead of actually, even when he got the chance, like Nikki told him, hey, if you like me, now's the time to tell me. But he didn't do that. Instead, he just didn't have the bravery or the courage to literally say how he feels to Nikki. He didn't, and it's cowardice. That's literally what it is. He didn't have the courage to, he didn't have the balls to save her, and he didn't have the balls to say how he feels because it's just like, it is understandable that, it is in a real life scenario. It is understandable when you as a person have feelings for someone and you are nervous to say how you feel. It's normal. But you shouldn't let that dictate you. You shouldn't let that keep you from shooting your shot. If you have feelings for someone, shoot your shot, man. I know. I'm not gonna come here and say, oh, if you don't have the balls, then you better get. Now I'm like, no. Take the time necessary to develop the courage, and when you feel ready, even when you're nervous at the moment, go for it. Shoot your shot. And hey, if they feel the same way, awesome. Congratulations. If they don't, then that's okay. Then you finally know your answer, because how are you gonna know if you don't have the courage? That's what Bear didn't have. I think he was insecure, or fear is the perfect word, but I did see the word insecurities. I think he was insecure on how Nikki would react to him opening up his feelings. Letting his heart out. That's what he did in the beginning, and of course Ian did. Of course, Ian didn't like it because later on in the movie, Sarah explains that Ian and Nikki have been on and off for about 2 years. So I think he's a little bit biased because he's dated Nikki before, and probably not the best guy to go to about this type of stuff. But hey, it is what it is. All that stuff. And moreover, fast forward to the part where Bear, he gets told by Nikki, but not by Nikki. Well, actually, yes. We'll start with that. How the next night after the first night, after he took her home, because that's when the wish started kicking off and the freakouts started to happen. But as over time, if you really watch the movie, you notice the freakouts are less and less frequent. And the reason for that is because I believe the demon, Freaky Nikki, is slowly taking over, like, Nikki's body or her autonomy, and just making it a lot harder for the real Nikki to actually break through and get her body back and say, hey, this is not me, this is the demon that's literally doing all of this stuff. That's how it is. And I feel like Freaky Nikki, when she shows up at Bear's door, which I saw a little Easter egg there, when I think when he came home from work and he was talking to Ian on the phone again. If you pay really close attention to the window near the front door, you can see Nikki standing there eavesdropping. So she's definitely looking in on Bear to see, what he's talking about with Ian. How I know that? Because as soon as she turns her head toward the front door, I'm like, there she is. And I rewinded it because I'm like, she was eavesdropping the entire time. So she was there for God knows how long, eavesdropping on Bear's entire phone call with Ian. So she was definitely standing there. And the thing is, I feel like Ian and both Freaky Nikki were trying to gaslight Bear, saying, hey, you took advantage of me. Well, that is, and it's not entirely false that he didn't, but she said it in a way that was passive aggressive, and also reverse psychology, because she said, that it's not like you weren't taking advantage of me anything. And if you know a little bit of reverse psychology there, it's like you were taking advantage of me there a little bit. And he's like, what, no, no, I'm not taking advantage of you. And it makes it very confusing and a fuzzy line, because his reaction is it's not a normal one. He says, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I know, I'm positive that I didn't. But he's like, he stutters and he's out of words, and the dude's waffling. Like, he doesn't know what to say. It makes his reaction so weird, because it makes him, I don't know if it was Curry's intention to make it that way. It's like he's not really guilty, but he's portraying himself that way because he doesn't know how to defend himself. That's how it was. So that's what happened. Alrighty, but yeah, that was the first instance that he was getting gaslit into thinking that Bear was taking advantage of Nikki. The second instance being that Ian, he's saying, hey man, it seems like Nikki's going through something, and it just looks like you're taking advantage of her. And when I first saw that, I'm like, bro, you're just making yourself look more guilty, man. It's not a good look, bro. What are you doing? But it's like, and it actually made me believe. Apologize for that, by the way. It actually made me believe that, Bear was actually taking advantage of Nikki. It's like, it gaslit me enough to the point where, hey, Bear is actually taking advantage of Nikki. Shame on him. But fast forward to the scene where Bear's in Sarah's car, and they're talking. They're about to open the letter that she got from Luther. A little bit before that, she said, "Hey, there's something really going on with Nikki, and I feel like she's taking advantage of you." And when I heard that the second time, I'm like, "Whoa, okay." See, that's the thing, though. See, you got one side saying that Bear's, the perpetrator of taking advantage of Nikki, and then you got the other side saying Bear is being taken advantage of by Nikki. It's like, it's kind of it's like two forces colliding together, and it makes it very confusing. But it's just like, it kind of makes you wonder, like, is okay, this is really distracting. No, I can't. This is distracting me from my yapping. I can't yap when I hear thunder in the background. Anyways, but it just makes it, like, again, a fuzzy line between, is Bear taking advantage of Nikki, or is Nikki taking advantage of Bear? And as I could see throughout the movie, Nikki is the one to, like, explicitly, like, she's taking advantage of her, because we can explicitly see, with the tape on the door, forcing him to stay in the bed with her, all that stuff. It makes it very easy to say, yes, Nikki is taking advantage of Bear. But Bear, in a way, kind of started at first when he first made the wish. That's the thing. That's why those two things collide together, and it's like two magnets trying to collide together. And speaking of two magnets to collide together, when I was seeing how, Freaky Nikki first started falling in love with Bear and stuff, I'm like, bro, it's like a scenario where I'll try and put it in a way that makes sense. Imagine you have two magnets, and you have them on opposite sides, and you're trying very hard to put them together, but they keep pushing back because, again, they're on opposite sides, and they're not supposed to do that. They're not on the same side. This is literally that. This is literally like, because here's the thing, especially on the car ride where Nikki looked up to Bear, she looked up to him in a more of like a big brother type of way. She's like, hey, I can go to this person, if I have any problems, because they're more better off as a brother and sister type duo. The fact that they started dating and stuff, and Nikki started coming onto him and stuff, it's like, it's so off-putting. It's so off, and I couldn't shake that feeling, because I'm like, it's not supposed to happen. It's so weird. No, no, it's so weird. No, they're not meant to be together, because even Sarah says it himself that the other day she had a conversation with Nikki saying, hey, we're more of a brother-sister type duo, and she ended up friend-zoning Bear. So it's like, why the hell is this happening? It's so weird. It's so off-putting. It's so off-putting. It's so off-putting. That's like when they first started dating, that's the reaction I had the entire time. Because again, they're not meant to be together. Even Michael Johnson, the actor who played Barry, said it himself. I don't think they would be a good couple, and I can agree with that because again, they're more of a brother and sister type duo. It's not. It was not meant to be like that or anything. It's just, oh man, it's so off-putting, dude. All right, I'm gonna move on to the next big thing because I'm sitting here trying to think about, all right, what's next on my yap. All right, I got the next part. Nikki. All right, so Nikki Freeman, which is her full name, by the way. Let's start off with the freakouts. As I mentioned earlier in this video, the freakouts started becoming less and less frequent, and I feel like the last freakout that she had before she fully regained her consciousness is when trivia night, where she was acting real fucking weird. When I say real, I mean real freaking weird, bro. It was weird as hell. She was on some weird shit, bro. And like it started off with a poem, and then here's where it escalated, where Bear gets a dare. I think they were playing. Yeah, they were playing Truth or Dare Jenga, and he got a dare saying, "Kiss the person on your left," which was Sarah, which is an Easter egg, but we're gonna get into that later. So here, the classic frowny face that Nikki has, and here's the thing: she pulls Sarah's chair back, gets into position and gets into a kissing position. Say, "Hey, all right, where's my kiss?" Gives her a little kiss peck, and she starts putting her hand, like Nikki starts putting her hand on Bear and everything, and then all of a sudden freak out. Which, more in depth into that, I think Nikki was trying very hard to finally break free, and she managed to get it. That was the last freak out we see for the rest of the film until the very end. She freaks out, stumbles back, and saying, "Whoa, what the hell?" It's like, and she's saying, "It's not me, it's not me, it's not me." Which, at first, I didn't really understand the true grasp of it, but the second time, I'm like, that's the real Nikki. She finally managed to break free from the grasp. Like, she finally, or even for a second, she managed to get her body back from freaking Nikki and say, "Hey, this is not me, please help me out." And, of course, freaky Nikki takes her body back, gets a bottle, smashes herself in the head with it, and all hell breaks loose there. But it's that right there. That right there, she tried pleading for help. The second to last time. And the last time being, she tried pleading to Bear. But this is where she's like, "Hey, this is not me. You gotta believe me. This is not me." But again, since people were seeing crazy shit and everything, they couldn't believe it. Even Ian didn't believe it himself because he just couldn't believe it the entire time. And I believe it was that bias that he had because he dated Nikki that he didn't believe it. Of course, since she's his ex, he worries about her and stuff. But I feel like it's that bias that carried on a little too far to the point where, yeah, no, I don't believe this is her or anything. It's nah, man. I mean, yeah, it is off-putting and weird, especially since Bear told me that, but it was just, I talked to her. She said that, no, her dad is fine. Her dad doesn't have cancer, which, by the way, is a big lie. And even Bear mostly believed it the entire time, even when he tried questioning Nikki about it. But she immediately shut that shit down, bro. She's like, "Nah, man, you ain't, the demon's like, you ain't gonna catch me in a lie, bro. So you ain't gonna catch me in that." So that was that. But yeah, it's just, again, that last time that she was able to break free, that last freak out, and no one did anything. No, it just, the real Nikki is overall the victim here. Like, she tried pleading to Bear, it didn't work. She tried pleading to her friends, that didn't work either, and she was literally trapped in a purgatory hell this entire time. It's just, Nikki is definitely, without a doubt, the real victim of this entire movie. That I will say. And it was only for Bear, it was way too late. He tried making an effort, but it didn't work, and we'll get more into that. Now that I've talked about the real Nikki, let's talk about freaky Nikki. Like, the origin lore that we got from this film. So with Freaky Nikki, I think she first started out as like, all right, how do I play this? Okay, how can I, win his heart and everything? And so it's very obvious from the beginning. She's acting very weird, because she literally went into her house, comes back outside, and is doing the iconic scene of just standing right in front of her door, and Bear's looking at her. He's like, "What the like it is weird, buddy. It's weird." And then she comes to the car, and she just starts acting weird the entire time. Saying, "Oh, sorry about your cat, Bear," and she even repeated some of the things that he said. He's like, "Oh yeah, my cat died. Are you okay?" It's like she the demon didn't know how to act in the beginning, but I feel like as time went on, especially with the montage of the two of them dating, I feel like in a way, yes, the demon was slowly winning Bear's heart because the love seemed real in the beginning, even though deep down we all know that love was not real. It was not love to begin with. But if you think about this more logically, I feel like at first it couldn't understand at the beginning, but then the demon tried making an effort to study Bear, and I feel like that amplified when freaking Nikki started dating Bear. Like, okay, now I get to study his behavior, his demeanor. How does he act? What I get to study his personality and see the type of person that he is. So I feel like that's what Freaky Nikki did toward the beginning of the film, and especially toward the middle. So I think like give or take the first 50 minutes of the film. Started studying Bear, and especially pulling out bold moves as well. I'm not even going to go into detail about that. But in a way, it was juggling a lot of things at once. Studying Bear was one of them. Winning his heart was another. And even though technically those two are collided. And the third one being keeping the real Nikki out. Because she's like, he's mine. You're not taking him away from me. You ain't doing that. So I feel like that's what Freaky Nikki was doing the entire time. That's what and of course, since she finally got a taste of Bear's personality toward the end of the film, when she figured out more and more that, especially during the flower scene, when her standing in the corner and just watching Bear sleep, her screaming and crying, saying, "Why don't you love me? Why don't you just love me?" Because again, it knows the connection that she's trying to give to Bear. She's doing her part, but Bear's not doing his part because he knows that love ain't real, man. Because it's weird. It's not real. That's why Freaky Nikki keeps yelling and screaming, saying, "Why don't you love me? Why don't you love me?" Because it knows that he's not loving her back the same way she's doing it to him. And especially a strong example of this being how when Bear witnessed Ian getting shot, and he finally decides to play along, to try and get her to use the one whistle up because the dude at the crystal shop saying, "Hey, maybe you can try and get her to do something for you," because she said she would do anything for you. So I think that was between Bear and the crystal guy saying that. So please correct me on that. But that was the case, and she immediately figured out as soon as she said like, "Yeah, you love me and everything." He shook his head no, and she sensed that. She sensed it, saying, "Oh no, he's lying now." And then cut to the bathroom of her banging, screaming, and everything, saying, "F you, screw you," all that stuff. So it studied Bear really well to the point where now she figured out his personality and stuff. That. And to the scene where back to trivia night, where she says, "The connection I have with Bear, that cannot be, broken or anything, and the person that tried breaking it will die." That was a threat to Ian, and the biggest exhibit A of that would be her literally looking at Ian right after she said it, because again, The film is demonstrating that, yeah, while she screamed it out loud to everybody, it was mainly directed toward Ian, because Ian earlier that night tried to separate the two of them by making a boys' trivia night. Of course, that failed, and he gets shot later on, toward the very end of the film. Yeah, he gets shot toward the end of the film. So yeah. All right, that's my take on Freaky Nikki. Let's get to the Easter eggs. All right. So the first Easter egg that I actually experienced the entire film, throughout the entirety of the film, and I finally realized it until I think around the very middle end ish, like toward the falling action of the plot. The clock. If you really listen to it, you hear a clock ticking throughout the entire film, from the beginning to the middle and to the end. And I feel like the meaning of that is Ian saying, hey man, all you have is time. Tell Nikki how you feel, because that's all you got. And when Nikki said, hey, I put in my 2 weeks, that kind of goes to show, yeah, you're on a ticking time clock now. You better tell her how you feel right then and there. Of course, Bear completely ditches that. And now we cut to the time that Bear has toward saving the real Nikki. You can hear that clock ticking the entire time, but as soon as she's too far gone toward the end of the film, I did not hear a clock ticking. I didn't hear a clock ticking right now, signaling at the fact that your time is up, bud. You failed to save her, and it's too late. It's too late. You didn't save her. Ian didn't save her. It's too late. It's too late. I feel like that was the main meaning of that Easter egg. That, the clock was ticking the entire time, signaling, hey, you have this much amount of time to save Nikki, but since you wasted all that time, that's it. Time's up. That was the meaning of that Easter egg. And I saw a few other little hints and Easter eggs where, Barker's Pub, when they were at the bar, kind of signaling to Curry Barker, the director of the film, it's a nice little Easter egg there, Curry. And especially this one. Sarah always being on Bear's left. From the bar to, trivia night to the car. And even where they were having a private conversation at work, Sarah was always on Bear's left. That there was a meaning there, because if I can mention this correctly, I know it doesn't show it that much, but Nikki was to Bear's right. Meanwhile, Sarah was to Bear's left. You know how, picture this in your mind. A little angel and a little demon. That classic analogy. I feel like Sarah was the little angel to Bear's left, and the demon was Nikki on Bear's right. If only Bear listened to Sarah. If only he listened to that angel, then yeah, he definitely would have saved all of this and all that. But realistically, if dude just had the courage to say how he felt to Nikki, then roll the credits. but no, he didn't. But I feel like that's the meaning of that Easter egg, in my opinion. That the fact that Sarah was constantly, in every scene that she was in, to Bear's left, every time they were in a scene together, it's like, she's the little angel on, Bear's left shoulder. But he just didn't listen, and unfortunately, she suffered a gruesome death. Not going into detail on that one either, but yeah, it's just, it was a mess. And that was that Easter egg. I think that's all the Easter eggs that I came across. Yeah, it was the clock one, Barker's Pub, of course, and, the fact that Sarah was constantly to Bear's left. And I'm wrapping up this video, actually. I don't know if I have anything else to say. If I do, then I might make a third video, but I think I might just not, especially since, I don't want to be like the channel where, oh, I'm only talking about obsessions. So I think if I have any other anything else I want to say, then I might as well say it now. But I will just say this if I don't. Curry Barker. If at any point in the future, no matter how long it is, if you ever come across this video, I just want to say to you, you did such a phenomenal job, making this film and stuff. The fact that, you went from simply making comedy skits with Cooper and just, starting a, good YouTube channel, which, by the way, dude, I love your skits, man. Made me laugh my butt off the entire time. You and Cooper are just such an excellent duo, and y'all are so good at what you're doing. I just want to say major congratulations for making such a phenomenal film, which will definitely go down in history as a classic. And overall, and if I'm wrong or right on anything I said in this video, then if you would like to comment, go right ahead. All power to you. Let me know what you think. But yeah, just kudos for everything that you did in this film, man. Just major W's, bro. And I honestly hope that whatever your next future film or films thereof, that they're absolute bangers as well. And I'll extend this as well to the cast, if they ever come across this video as well, to Michael, Indy, Megan, Cooper as well, and even the rest of the cast, anyone who was in the production involved in Obsession. Major congratulations for having such a phenomenal film, and honestly, just thank you so much to all of you for just acting your heart out, putting your blood, sweat, and tears into this film, because this is honestly my top 3 favorite films of all time. You guys have made such a banger, and it's just honestly awesome. But anyways, I don't think I have anything more to say. No. And it's just, man, it's just, I can just sit here for like an extra 30 minutes, but I already been recording for 35 minutes, so I'm just gonna leave it here. But yeah, I'm gonna get out of here, and yeah, this is probably gonna be the longest video I've made for the time being. If I just in some way decide to change my mind and just decide to upload this raw video, not splitting it into 2 parts, then I might as well just do that. Just do what YouTube needs me to do and just, upload this entire video, just like the entirety, 35 minutes. You guys are getting the director's cut. Anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you very much for listening to my very long yap. This is probably like one of the longest yaps I've had. And yeah. Again, thank you very much, and I hope you guys enjoy. And if you did, want to leave a like, subscribe, comment down below what you really think of my entire opinion. If you agree, if you disagree, if you have your own opinion, just let me know down below. Like, what do you think about it? But yeah, that's pretty much about it. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody.